Did Princess Alexandra just pull off the quietest and most brutal royal power move we've seen in years? Reports claim she has handed over some of the late Queen Mother's private jewels directly to Princess Anne, completely sidestepping Queen Camilla. If true, this isn't just about diamonds and tiaras. This is about loyalty, legacy, and a very clear message about who the late Queen Mother and her generation truly trusted to carry the crown spirit forward. Stay with me, because in this video we're going to break down what these jewels really are and why they matter so much. Why giving them to Anne, not Camilla, is such a big deal, and the one tiny detail royal watchers noticed that could change how we see the entire royal pecking order. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, where we dig into the real stories behind the royal headlines. If you love royal history, hidden symbolism, and the dramas that never make it into official statements, you're in the right place. Make sure you watch until the end, because I'll show you the specific piece that, if this story is accurate, sends the strongest signal against Camilla's place in the Queen Mother's legacy. To understand why this alleged jewel handover is such a bombshell, we need to zoom out for a minute. We're talking about four women at the heart of the modern monarchy: the Queen Mother, the matriarch, the wartime consort, and the original royal-style icon. Her personal jewel collection was legendary. Princess Alexandra, the Queen Mother's beloved granddaughter by marriage and Queen Elizabeth II's cousin. Quiet, dutiful, and absolutely steeped in old-school royal tradition. Princess Anne, the late Queen's only daughter, known for her no-nonsense work ethic, loyalty, and zero-drama approach to duty. Camilla, Queen Consort, now Queen Camilla, Charles's second wife, who has slowly, and very carefully, been woven into the fabric of the monarchy. Now, here's what makes this so sensitive. The Queen Mother didn't just own pretty jewels. She held a private jewel collection, pieces not automatically owned by the crown, that carried intense personal meaning, wartime gifts, private bequests, and items from the famous Greville inheritance that she wore for decades. Traditionally, a lot of those pieces either passed to Queen Elizabeth II, were loaned to key senior women, or quietly filtered into the wider royal jewel pool, later worn by Camilla, Catherine, and others. So when you hear a headline saying, Princess Alexandra hands and the Queen Mother's private jewels, bypassing Camilla entirely, you're not just hearing someone gave someone else a necklace. You're hearing an elder member of the Queen Mother's generation may be making a very specific choice about who, in this generation, she believes should hold that legacy. And that is where this story gets interesting. According to recent reports, here's what allegedly happened. Timing. In late 2025, /recently, /earlier this year, etc. Word emerged that Princess Alexandra had quietly transferred a selection of jewels associated with the late Queen Mother. The recipient, rather than those jewels being routed through the usual channels, which, under Charles's reign, would naturally put Queen Camilla front and center, they were said to be given straight to Princess Anne. The setting: keep this general unless you have confirmed detail. Some outlets describe it as a private, low-key handover, likely at a royal residence, with minimal fuss and no official photo op. If you have real details, add them here, e.g., reportedly at St. James's Palace, Windsor, a private London residence. The pieces themselves. Reports mention that the items are not just random trinkets but deeply associated with the Queen Mother's personal style, pieces she wore regularly or that came from the famed Greville bequest. This is where you name specific jewels. If you have verified info, for example, a diamond and pearl brooch often seen on the Queen Mother at Ascot, a smaller tiara thought to be part of the Greville legacy, a pair of diamond clips that the Queen Mother reportedly favored in the 1940s. Don't invent names, use what you actually know. The twist? What has royal watchers talking isn't just that Anne received something. It's that Camilla apparently didn't. These are being portrayed as Queen Mother-associated jewels moving directly to Anne, with no visible role for Camilla as the current queen. And that absence, that bypassing, is exactly what's fueling all the speculation. Before we go further, let me be very clear. The palace has not issued any detailed public statement confirming every aspect of this story. Much of what's being discussed comes from royal commentators, insiders, and press reports, some more reliable than others. But even at the level of perception, this narrative is powerful, and perception is everything in a monarchy that survives on symbolism. So why does it matter that these jewels allegedly went from Alexandra to Anne, rather than being filtered through Camilla? Because in the royal world, jewels are power. They are symbols of favour, who the previous generation trusted. Signals of rank, who's considered central versus peripheral. Narratives in diamonds, which stories the monarchy wants to highlight. Today, Queen Camilla is the senior queen consort. Normally, you'd expect any major redistribution of Queen Mother-related pieces to sit under King Charles's broader control and, in practice, be highly influenced by Camilla's role as the leading royal woman at his side. So when a jewel transfer happens that seems to leave Camilla out of the picture, people start asking, is this Princess Alexandra quietly asserting the values of the old court, favouring the blood princess, and over the newer queen consort? Is this a personal gesture of affection to Anne, who has spent decades as one of the hardest-working royals, often overshadowed? Or is the story being spun this way by the media to play into a ready-made narrative of Anne versus Camilla? Historically, remember, the Queen Mother was fiercely protective of the monarchy's image. For years, she was not enthusiastic about Charles's relationship with Camilla. Over time, things publicly softened, but the scars of those early years never quite left the public imagination. So when older royals like Princess Alexandra are seen, even symbolically, to be favouring Anne with Queen Mother jewels, it taps straight into that long memory. The idea that the Queen Mother's true spiritual successor is not the current queen, but the dutiful, workhorse daughter, Princess Anne. Whether or not that's entirely fair to Camilla, it's a storyline people immediately understand. Let's talk about the jewels themselves, not just as objects, but as messages. Here, add more detail about specific pieces if you have it. I'll keep this general so you can adapt. If a brooch, tiara, or necklace that was worn by the Queen Mother at major state events, frequently paired with her most iconic outfits, or known to be part of her beloved private collection, now appears on Princess Anne, that does a few things at once. It binds Anne directly to the Queen Mother's memory. Viewers don't need an official explainer. They just see, that's her piece. Now Anne is wearing it. Connection made. It sidelines Camilla in that particular visual lineage. Camilla already has access to many of the late Queen's and Queen Mother linked jewels via Charles and the Crown collection. But if certain personal pieces go to Anne, it suggests these were never meant to be absorbed into the new regime. They were meant to stay with the bloodline. It rewards long-term duty. Anne has been the definition of consistency. Heavy schedule. Minimal scandal. Often underappreciated. A private jewel transfer sends a quiet but powerful thank you. And this is where it stings, at least symbolically, for Camilla. Camilla's public journey has been one of rehabilitation. From the other woman in the 1990s tabloid wars, to Duchess of Cornwall, carefully keeping a low profile, to Queen Consort, now central to the monarchy. For the palace, that's been a decades-long PR project. So any story, true or exaggerated, that suggests the Queen Mother's intimate circle is still choosing Anne over Camilla cuts against that carefully managed transformation. Now, isn't personally waging some kind of jewel war? Highly unlikely. That's simply not her style. But old loyalties speak loudly, and when we see Alexandra, one of the last direct links to the Queen Mother's era, making a very personal gesture to Anne, it's hard not to read between the lines. Before we wrap up, let's separate emotion from facts. What we can say. It is entirely plausible that Princess Alexandra, now in her later years, is organizing her personal effects and deciding which pieces go to whom. It is also consistent with royal tradition that personal, privately owned jewels can be handed to specific relatives as a sign of affection, not just rank. Princess Anne is a natural choice for heirlooms tied to the Queen Mother's old guard image, duty, stoicism, and continuity. What we cannot say with certainty, unless the palace or the family confirm it, is that this was explicitly done to snub Camilla. That Camilla is personally upset, furious, or that war over these pieces. That every detail in sensational headlines reflects the full, nuanced reality of private family decisions. Publicly, the royals almost never comment on private jewelry distributions. So a lot of what fills that silence is speculation, symbolism, and our own need to turn stones and diamonds into stories. So, what do you think this alleged jewel handover really means? Is it a quiet, touching gesture from one older royal lady to another, Alexandra to Anne, with no malice involved at all? Or is it, whether intended or not, a final echo of the Queen Mother's preference for the blood princesses over the newer Queen's consort? Let me know in the comments. If you had to choose one woman to carry the Queen Mother's legacy into the future, Anne or Camilla, who would it be, and why? I read as many of your comments as I can, and they often shape what I cover next. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like so more people who follow royal stories actually see it, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Because in the next video, we're going to look at the one tiara Camilla is very unlikely ever to wear, and what that tells us about the limits of her acceptance inside the royal family. Thanks for watching.